Juan, and hello, Dibbo. Welcome to the third episode of BOITHOK. Let me just remind you what BOITHOK means. It's actually a Bangla word which means having a discussion with a group of people, a small, friendly, or maybe a serious kind of discussion. So BOITHOK is our podcast name, and we have decided to name something Bangla. We're really happy to have Juan Carlos Maldonado for our third episode. And yeah, we're going to be talking about something a bit different for us because a new concept, a new ideology was brought to our table, was brought to our discussion in the libertarian community for past few weeks. And Juan is the perfect person to bring to our platform so that we can have more broad discussion about the concept. So let me introduce Juan. He is the Human Respect Project Manager of Students for Liberty. And before that, he was in the teaching faculty of Foundation of Economic Education. That's really awesome. So I will not speak for long, but give the floor to Juan. And I would like to know more about you and what exactly inspired you to work in SFL as a human respect project manager. I mean, I'm really interested to know how you have shifted your career from economic foundation and to a human respect project manager. So, yes, Juan.
So thank you, Arshi and Dibbo for the invitation. It's been a pleasure. I don't know how long have you been doing this. I'm Ecuadorian, South American, and I don't know if you have many South Americans here, but if I'm the first, that's great. I hope I'm not the last.
Yeah.
Well, as you said, my name is Juan Carlos. I'm from, as I said, from South America, and I'm a political scientist. Every time that somebody asks me why I chose political science to begin with, I always say that was probably some kind of a natural outcome for me because my mom is a lawyer and my dad was in the military. So I didn't know until I had until I got engaged later in my life, and started visiting my wife's family and extended family, that is not normal for people to talk about politics and history and philosophy at the dinner table. I grew up like that, like people talking about wars and history and current issues and politics. And then I noticed how normal was that, like after with my wife for a couple of years and then visiting my dad and my mom, was really funny to get there, say hi, and 5 minutes later start saying like, what do you think about what's happening right now with the president or the Congress? What do you think about what's happening in the United States or Middle East? It's crazy, right? And I started noticing and started saying like, normal people doesn't do that. We do this. So that was the kind of environment I grew up with. And so that's why I say it was a natural outcome for me to choose political science as a career. I liked it. I like reading a lot, but I read mostly about history, politics, and philosophy. So about human respect and my career, I can say that if you believe in the divine, you can say it's a miracle. If you don't, let's say it's just destiny or luck. But the thing is, like, this career chose me. I wasn't looking for it. It was a nice set of coincidences that drove me here to the Human Respect Project at SFL. Just as it drove me during my entire career. Like, I can summarize my entire professional career by saying that I was sitting down doing something else, and then someone called and said, like, "Are you interested in this?" And I said, like, "Yeah, why not? Let's try." Usually, when I follow leads and I follow opportunities, those opportunities never materialize. But then life has given me other opportunities. As I said at the beginning, when I was like, they contact me about the human respect position at SFL. It was really cool because in the description they were saying like, we need someone who knows about history, philosophy, and political science. We need someone who speaks Spanish, English, and Portuguese. I do. We need someone who do this, and that. In my previous jobs, I was also an educational coordinator for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, doing both teaching and training teachers. And the description said like someone who has experience in teaching and training trainers and doing in-person presentations and traveling, which is like pretty much everything that I did for the church educational system and Foundation for Economic Education. So at the end of the day, that's why I said this position found me, because they were pretty much describing me, and then I came up with like that's me.
It's a miracle.
Yes, absolutely. So it was really funny. It was really funny. It wasn't
Yeah.
just something that I was like looking for or working towards. But it's an amazing opportunity, and I'm really glad I'm part of it.
That's really great. So you are currently managing the Human Respect project. So what are the interesting things that you think people should be interested in human respect, or people should give more focus to human respect? Uh, in your opinion, what do you think about that?
Okay, so I just had like 30 meetings this week with different students, coordinators from Students for Liberty. And I had the chance to explore a lot about this idea. And thank you for your question. It's really good. One of the things is that someone said I started calling people to attend a human respect philosophy event, and almost no one came. And I was like, maybe philosophy is the part that they're not interested with. Again, coming back to this story that maybe not everyone likes philosophy as much as I do. I said like, maybe that can sound boring, especially for young audiences. So what we did in another event in Nairobi is that we didn't call it the philosophy of human respect. We call it from coercion to persuasion, the principle that changes everything. And that was a nice bet, because we didn't mention the philosophy of human respect. We didn't mention philosophy. We didn't mention human. We didn't mention respect. We just call it from coercion to persuasion, the principle that changes everything. And many people came. And that was really funny because by not mentioning philosophy, I think we erased the part that they might have been finding a little bit boring. But inviting them by saying like, this principle changes everything, although that's not a lie. So the main thing that people have to understand about human respect is that it's not as a philosophy. It's not just something to think about, but it's something to act on. Human respect is a principle, and we use a Newtonian definition to describe this principle. Why I call it Newtonian? Because I always say this: if I have this in my hand, this piece of Lego or whatever it is, and I drop it, it will fall down. And if I drop it again, it will fall down again. If I drop it a third time,
It will.
but if I do it like 500 million times, it will still be falling down. That's a principle. Gravity is a natural principle. And we define natural principles as events where you can clearly see a natural cause and effect relation. If I drop it, fall down. That's a natural cause and effect relation. And just as this natural principle of gravity, we understand the principle because of Isaac Newton, who wrote down the equation. And we will never say that Isaac Newton invented gravity. Only what we say is that he came up with an equation to understand it, and to say like every time you do this, this other thing happens. So it happens the same thing with human respect. We didn't invent human respect. We put a name on it and came up with a sort of an equation. When this happened, this other thing happened. And the principle of human respect, the natural principle of human respect, is that theft, violence, and fraud always reduce happiness, harmony, and prosperity. Always.
Mm.
And that's super interesting because it's just like this. Like every time that I drop this falls down, every time someone exercises theft, violence, or fraud, general happiness, harmony, and prosperity, it's affected, it's decreased. Um, so that's super important to understand
Mhm.
because it will give us a roadmap of how to live our lives in order to get more happiness, harmony, and prosperity. And this is super important because the one thing we have in common, I mean, you guys are from Bangladesh, I'm from South America. Culturally, we're very different. We do many different things. We speak different languages. I mean, we both speak English, but in Latin America, most of us speak Spanish and many things. We can do things so differently, but at the end of the day, no matter who we are and where we're from, everybody wants to be happy. We all work towards happiness, and if we think about that, you can start like laying down a basis
Mhm.
that will allow you to live your life however you want, have any culture, any religion, any background, go anywhere in life, but setting down a basic principle that say this is the basic things that will provide happiness, harmony, and prosperity to everyone. And we have come up with this idea. We call it human respect. Could have called it whatever. Um, but we call it human respect because we think that as humans, no matter who we are, no, it's not American respect or Asian respect. No, it's human. Um, and we call it respect and not rights or something else because it begins with every individual. It's very important that we understand that to promote happiness, harmony, and prosperity, we, each one of us, are personally responsible enough of not initiating violence, not commit any act of theft or fraud against anybody else, and also not delegating those faculties to someone else. And we can talk about that
Yeah, yeah.
later.
Basically, what we wanted to know is like, as you said earlier, human respect is a like, if we point it out as a philosophy, many people like refrain from it. Like they feel philosophy to be a boring subject because in it delves into many thoughts and many other aspects. So in real life, what do you think? Can you share us some experiences or any other aspects that where human respect is kind of a niche area that, or kind of a area that can be implemented? Or yeah, I know it's a general topic, it's a natural human nature, but if we are talking about, let's say, applying that in human practical life, how do you think we can see that? Or
Okay, so right now we are promoting at SFL a
Mhm.
campaign for human respect events. That means that we are encouraging our students to learn about human respect and then promote that idea through a series of events.
Mhm.
Uh, and I was telling the students this week, either you can talk about in your event, either you can talk about human respect or you can talk about something else through the lens of human respect. And they were saying like what? And I started thinking about it and I found out that, yeah, we can talk about human respect, about many issues through the lens of human respect, about corruption, centralization of power, dictatorships, violence, human rights violations, LGBT or religious discrimination, cultural discrimination, cryptocurrencies. And I found out that cryptocurrencies was one interesting subject to talk about human respect because we usually don't think about cryptocurrencies like this, but it's really important. So, for example, Bitcoin exists in almost any country you live in, not all countries, but almost any country. Governments are in charge of money. They say they know, they're not. In some countries, they say like, no, 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 the central bank is completely independent. No, it's not true in every case. Um, so what they do is that they governments by force using coercion. What they say is like, okay, within these boundaries, within these borders, you are forced to use in every transaction my national currency, and that national currency can be like it is in Peru where I live now, is soles. So you have to use soles every day. Or if you're in Europe, you have to use euros. If you are in the United States, you have to use US dollars. So that's a monopoly first, and also that's coercion because they don't ask you if you like to use this currency. They say like you have to do it. You have to have your savings and your bank accounts in only these currencies. Some governments are more moderated on that. They give more flexibility, but at the end of the day, they run a national currency. And so then it comes Bitcoin, which is digital, it's free, it's voluntarily. You can, if you want to use Bitcoin, you can do it. If you don't want, you just don't do it. No one's forcing you to it. You can use it for transactions, for buying stuff, or selling stuff, or for savings or investments or training, whatever it is. So there's a lot of flexibility. So the human respect idea has a lot to do with, as I said, if every time someone exercises theft, violence, or fraud, they acting by coercion. And we think that we can start thinking, we should start thinking about ways in which we can replace that coercion with a persuasive alternative, doing the same. So we need money because money is almost natural to us. Is a great tool. So we say like, okay, let's do it. Let's create free money, something that governments cannot touch and manipulate, as they do with fiat money today. So they created Bitcoin. Maybe they didn't have this in mind, but thank God it's like that. So Bitcoin is a great alternative because it's persuasive based. It's based on persuasion. No one is forcing you to use Bitcoin. I mean, in El Salvador, they started doing something like that, and that was a complete mistake. They reformed that law. But at the end of the day, the technology that allows Bitcoin to exist is based on persuasion, not coercion. There you have a great persuasive alternative to something that historically have been coercive. I think we can do that with many other things, like every government program can be derived into a persuasive alternative. Because at the end of the day, the most coercive institution in the world are governments. Because yes, they don't ask you anything. You just like there, like yeah, politician. And the funny thing, if I'm allowed, and this can derive to talk another thing, is that we don't think about this like all the time, but it's super important. And it is that if I ask anyone here if that person will commit an act of violence, theft, or fraud against their neighbor, they would probably say no. Any sane person will say no. There are a couple of crazy people who will say yes, absolutely. But any sane person will say like, no, I will never exercise any kind of violence, theft, or fraud against my neighbor. But I'll be happy to delegate that to my local politician to go and exercise theft, violence, or fraud against my neighbor by taxing them, punishing them if they don't pay taxes, take away their stuff if they don't pay those taxes, and force them to pay and threaten them and throw them into jail. Like, I'm not doing it. The politicians are doing it. Who elected the politicians? Yes, exactly. Even if you didn't vote, you're still tolerating that. And I'm not saying that we should go riot in the streets and throw away the government uh, like in a coup d'état or something like that. What I'm saying is like there are peaceful ways we can work and reform many of these things, and that has a lot to do also with personal responsibility.
So I wanted to ask is how human respect is associated with persuasion. Like, what's the thought process of it? Like, is that we are respecting others to and their choices, and so that we are persuading them that okay, these are the right things that you should do, and like that we are persuading them with our strategies or our points rather than coercing them to do something or forcing them to do something like the politicians. That's the thought process, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So okay. About that, human respect base everything in persuading others.
Hmm.
Um, we know that can be hard because it's like sitting down with someone and say like, "Would you like to help?" And if they say no, you're like, "Okay." Um, while I was growing up, and this is another great thing about being part of this project. While I was like growing up, I was really curious, and I asked a lot of questions. I was that kind of kid who was like asking questions all the time.
All of us.
One of the questions, and that's why we're here. Um, um, one of the things that I found like really interesting was like asking why, and at the end of the day, someone always say like because I say so, and I said like and then what? And they said like you have to do it, and I was like, but what if I refuse? And they would say like I will make you, and I was like how? And at the end of the road, you find that yeah, there are violent means at the end of those roads. Um, so we're trying to work away from those violent means. Okay, we understand that not everyone is into that, but you have to know that if you do that, you're exercising violence, and happiness, harmony, and prosperity are being reduced. Maybe not the three at the same time, maybe just one, but it always happens again. It's like a principle. Um, so the thing with that is that human respect bases itself in a, a principle. Okay, it's you guys like well, not you, but English speakers. I'm sad because in Spanish the word principle is principio. Sounds pretty much the same, but it means principle and also means beginning. When you are starting a book, you will say, "I'm at the beginning of the book." You say, "Estoy al principio." Um, so in Spanish works really well because a principle is at the same time a basic foundation, and it's also the beginning of things. If you begin a conversation, an action, a project, an idea with this basic principle laying down as a foundation, it's at the beginning, al principio. Um, then you have like in the scriptures said. Now the scripture said that if you plant a seed who's good, it will give you a good plant and good fruit. So the thing is the same here. The same principle applies. It's really funny to think about the wonderful things that we are missing just because we're not beginning with this principle in mind. Um, and it's really motivating to see ourselves and many students when I go around doing workshops about human respect. I tell them like, okay, let's do this activity. Let's think about a social problem. And they think about insecurity, gang wars, child malnutrition, women's discrimination, whatever it is. Okay, let's now think about non-state, non-violence solutions to this problem. And once you lay down as a basis, you say like, okay, let's start ideas like the common ideas. And I always talk about this, like the mentality of there should be a law. Every time we see a social problem in the world, there's always someone who starts with there should be a law, and I know my wife is one of them. That everything she doesn't like, she said like, there should be a law that says that people shouldn't do that, and I'm like, okay, that's funny because I work as a human respect project manager and I'm hearing this in my own house first. But then the other thing is like I always try to follow that line. If you lay down as a basis that there should be a law, you should asking, well, you're building your idea. You should be asking yourself, okay, there should be a law against, I don't know, people smoking weed on public parks.
Mhm.
What does that mean? That they will say, oh, there's a law that says that we shouldn't be smoking pot in the parks. Let's go home. It's not going to happen. You will have to fund policemen. You will have to you will have to pay for them going around to every park in your city every time in order to do it right. Because if they are not patrolling every single hour of the day, they're not doing their job. So that means gasoline, cars, cops that have a salary, that they have to be there like 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, every day, 24 hours. And giving that kind of power to normal people, to humans, it's kind of dangerous. They will have to commit detentions. We will have to spend on detentions, paperwork, bureaucrats, and all that stuff. Do we have the kind of money to do that? And if we say like, no, but they're gonna be patrolling around like once a day, like, yeah, we will have people smoking pot in the parks any other hour of the day. They will say like, oh, the police left, so now it's really safe to smoke pot, and you won't have a solution. So it's super important that even if you are agree with the mentality of human respect, or you agree with the mentality of there should be law, you have to understand that has consequences. And the mentality of there should be a law has consequences, decreasing prosperity, because people will have to spend a lot more money paying for that kind of security. Security against people smoking. That for me, that's ridiculous. Because like they're not attacking everyone. They're smoking. I know. I don't smoke. I don't use drugs, or even I don't even drink coffee. Like it's crazy. But I don't go around telling people like there should be a law banning coffee for everyone because I don't drink coffee, because I don't even drink tea. So it's like there should be no. It's like I don't drink it. I can share this with you. It's good for health. It's really bad for health. So if you like, don't do it. That's it.
I just wanted to ask if there shouldn't be any law, would you suggest that there should be principles? If not law, then having principles would be better for society?
Yes, because at the end of the day, laws are only deterrents against terrible things that can happen. And if you think about it for a minute, the only time we think about laws is when something terrible already happened. And same thing happens with rights. We only talk about human rights once something terrible already happened. When like probably somebody already died, and then we start talking about but rights. And I'm from Ecuador. Today, that's one of the most dangerous countries in South America, and probably the most dangerous country in South America, and one of the most dangerous countries in the world. Right now, we have a terrible gang war going on in Peru. It's so bad that I left. I moved to Peru. I went like bye. But the thing is that, like last year, while I was living in Ecuador, I had the chance to move to the United States for a couple of months, and I went to Utah, one of the safest states in the United States. And within Utah, I moved to a little town called Lehigh, which is one of the safest cities in Utah. So it was like double double. Um, and that was crazy because people in Lehigh sleep with their doors unlocked. Nothing happens ever. And it's not a matter of rights and it's not a matter of laws. It's a matter of communities understanding that they should respect each other. It's a matter of people trusting each other. But they trust each other because they have developed an actual respect for other people's property, other people's life, other people's dignity. You go around and they didn't even have cameras in the stores. They just have this bended mirror. And I was like checking and I was like, someone can actually, once I asked the question and I said like, don't you guys have cameras? And they say like, no. And I said like, what if someone just go in the store and start taking stuff? And they said two things. One, why would somebody do that? They were really, I thought that was really naive. Me coming from Ecuador, where if you don't have cameras, you will get robbed instantly. And
Same
even
here.
having cameras, we get robbed every day. Like they don't care. Like the thieves are like,
Even rob the cameras, the security cameras. They can
in Ecuador, they're really cynical. They even wave. They're like, hi, nothing's gonna happen to me. And because of corruption, because of how corrupt police and justice has become in Ecuador, and that didn't happen from night to day, that from one day to the other. That happened because we had a constant constant desgaste. I don't know how to say it, but it weared out. Okay. Mm-hmm. The institutions in Ecuador started wearing out many years ago with lack of respect for each other's, for institutions, and entitledness of saying like we have, and that's the problem with rights. That idea can be bended in ways that are not good. Saying like, oh, but we have a right to wellness, and rich people have so much and have so many, so me as a poor person, I'm entitled to go around and take away other people's stuff because I need it, because someone has to give it to me. And yeah, that eroded Ecuadorian institutions. And I was really amazed, but living there 2 months. It was just 2 months, like with 8-9 weeks that I was there. Watching that, and then I came back. I don't want to talk trash about any other country. So, but I was going back to Ecuador. I had a layover in Colombia, so I went to the duty free. Duty frees in the airports have 1,000 cameras, and if you take something, they will arrest you immediately. And I was just going around looking for chocolate bars for my family. And even though they have 1,000 cameras, they have security measures and all that stuff. This is really funny because after being 2 months in one of the safest cities in America, I went to the duty free in the Colombia airport and Bogota airport. And I was like going around saying like, where are the chocolates? And there was a guy like this. And I was there and I was like, yeah. And he was like, hey, can I help you? And I was like, no, it's okay. What are you looking for? And I said like, chocolates. And he was like, oh, they're in the other side. I went to the other side and he came with me like, I was like, that's so uncomfortable. And I was like, are you okay? And he was like, yeah, just checking you have everything you need. And I was like, he's thinking about, like, he's watching me if I take chocolates, like $5 chocolates. Come on. Like, who's going to do that? And then I
Oh
thought,
my God.
yes, I mean, so your business can survive if one kid takes a
Mhm.
candy once,
Mhm.
but if all of society takes advantage of you for not having cameras or not being watching, and they learn that they can rob you every day, they can just come up with a bag and start taking everything and just leave, and you are not going to do anything. You need a gun. And if you do that, your trust in society has been eroded. And your happiness has been eroded because you got robbed. Your harmony has been eroded because now you need a gun to defend yourself. You need to be watching people like this, starting like, and you cannot be in peace with yourself, like sitting down doing something else because you have to be watching everyone else if they take or not take stuff. That also messes with people's harmony, because that was like really uncomfortable to having this guy like breathing in my neck. And I was like, I'm not happy you have to do this. And imagine this: duty free in an international airport has to spend thousands of dollars on surveillance systems, and they also have to pay a salary to a guy to walk around watching people like taking stuff. So that messes with prosperity too. Installing cameras, security systems, all those things cost money, and that messes with your prosperity. So this is a clear example of how theft, violence, or uh, fraud calling like taking stuff not in the face of the people, but in hide. Theft, violence, or fraud erode and decrease happiness, harmony, and prosperity.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, I had two follow-up questions based on your statement. The first one is, it's amazing that how that particular state that you have mentioned, Utah, in that particular city, they have been able to maintain that trust and the principles set in their society. I mean, is it? It seems like a utopia. I mean, is it possible to set that principle in a larger aspect? And the next question to you is that I've seen that foundation for uh, prosperity and what was the
Harmony and
organization
prosperity.
name? Harmony and prosperity. They have used the human respect principles in different business aspects, and if they have received any benefits through that through having that principles, we would like to know more about it.
Okay, so first, the first question about having that, yes, I mean Lehigh is not a big city. It's around other cities, and none of them are big, and they work like a great uh, uh, cumulus of cities there. Um, um, but it works fine. I have to admit that Utah is one of the most religious states in the United States, which doesn't mean that you have entirely to be religious to be a good person. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that again, principles, when you use them as a foundation, can help a lot. If you're religious, you can still be a bad person. I mean, but it's not about religion, it's about principles. If religious give people principles, and if people adapt it and use them. If you are one of the kind of people who, religious or not, use good principles to lay down a foundation, you're gonna do amazing things. I'm not saying that anything bad ever happens in Lehigh or in Utah, because many things happen. Uh, but I think about, like, this is the same country where we have cities like New York, Los Angeles, where there's a lot of more criminality and awful things happening. So that shows you that is not the law, is not the rights, is not simply the institutions, is the individuals acting uh, good, guided by principles. At the end of the day, you can have the most amazing rules and institutions, but if people don't act on that, you're screwed.
Mhm.
I've been thinking about that because I was thinking like many years ago. As I was thinking like, what if we will like just like copy the entire constitution and laws of the United States in Ecuador, in my country, and we become a federal state with the Senate and this and that, and choosing a president and the same commercial institutions, the same things. We copy everything. My conclusion was like it wouldn't work because at the end of the day, people will just not listen to that. People will say like, yeah, I know I have to do that, but I can pay a bribe and have it like right now. So, and they will not be like I admire police force in the United States, some police force in the United States, not all. um, that when you offer a bribe, you can go to you go directly to jail because they say like the offering a bribe is a crime, and that's a major offense. So you're going to jail. If you offer a bribe in Ecuador, they will say like how much, and that's why just copying institutions will not work. We have to change the minds and hearts
Unfortunately,
of
this
people.
also happens in our country. So,
Yes, we have more in common than I thought. Being from South
more
America,
common
South Asia.
criminality.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the bad things.
Damn.
But that's the thing with institutions. So why this works in Lehigh or working in Utah and it's not working in LA or New York or any other big cities? Why this works in Texas is so different that Los Angeles? Why? And it's because the kind of principles that people had used to lay down the foundation and what they have built in top of those principles. Principles are really different. And as I said, you don't have to be religious to
Yeah,
believe in that. You can.
maybe each state and city could set these principles and practice those.
Uh,
It depends actually on individual how they're actually practicing
the
it.
thing is,
Maybe.
if anyone sets a principle, that becomes communism. So they can't do that. But the thing is, in Bangladesh also, when I started in SFL, I learned about free market, and I asked everyone, okay, why the free market concept won't be like it's a good thing. Why it's not cannot be implemented in Bangladesh because or in South Asia. I asked many friends who were from economic background, and most of their answers were like something like this, that because our societal concept like context is different from like America or just like other side of the country, because we don't operate how they operate. We don't think like them. We have our own social norms. We have our own uh, way of viewing things. So yeah, all of the things would make the free market would be a like little problematic. But later on, I gradually started like reviewing it more, and I understood, okay, it can be done. People just needs to change their viewpoint. That's all. And I think it's the same with human respect also, because it's a nature, or it's a way of thought that okay.
I
in
think it's also it also depends on culture or adapting to a culture.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know about other regions, but from South Asia perspective, we face so many challenges to adapt to new things. Uh, there's
People
a big
always fear
challenge
that.
in that.
People always
Yeah.
fear what they don't know, and that's where the problem comes or arises. Hearing the name human respect, and people would gradually or like instinctively know, okay, this is a respect thing, and respect is okay, it's a good thing. We know what is respect, why it's good, and people know that doing something bad is not good for others. Like it's instinctive in human. Even the criminals know what they're doing is bad. But the thing is, like, what do you think that human respect uh, entails at the it's a last thing. Like we have discussed a lot about persuasion, coercion, and like believing choice. In my thought process, I thought it's human choice. Basically, it's promoting human choice. And in your thought, what people shouldn't think about human respect is,
Why shouldn't?
yeah, like they shouldn't assume that okay, this is just a niche area. They should be open to other things also. Like, in your opinion, what is that?
Okay, what I think is that
In the
I
workshop
always
also,
try to put,
sorry.
yes,
In the
what,
in the workshop also, people also asked you this question, like human respect is not only respect, it's much more than that. So I want
yeah, yeah,
you.
yeah. I was thinking just about that. I think sometimes we intuitively think about human respect like joining two things together that we already know. We know humans and we know respect, and basically is respecting other human beings, and that has a lot to do um, with what people confuse this with human rights. I already mentioned why rights are not the greatest thing. I mean, they work and they are amazing, but we only put them in action when something terrible already happened.
Mhm.
So we don't have to stay with the definition of human respect as respecting each other, like treating others respectfully. I always talk about this comedy sketch that I like, and I saw like many years ago. Uh, there was a guy walking in the park, and he is boarded by a thief. But this thief is wearing a suit. He's really elegant, and instead of doing what usually robbers do, like give me everything, yeah, and they insult you, they punch you, they threaten you, they yell at you. He's like, "Good sir, it's a nice evening. How are you doing? Good." And he's like, "Oh, will you be so kind of giving me, please, all your belongings, your wallet, your money, your watch?" And he's like, "Wait, what? Is this a robbery?" And he's like, "Yes, indeed, this is a robbery. I'm part of a criminal group that goes around taking other people's stuff." And he's wearing like with a gun. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so nice. I mean, yes, absolutely. Here it is. And the wallet and stuff." And he's like, "The other day I got robbed and it was terrible. They yelled at me, punched me." And he was like, "No, no, no, I'm not that kind of thief. I'm so sorry. They make us look so bad." And he's like, "Those shoes are amazing." And they're like, "Do you like them? They're Italian." He's like, "Yeah, can I see them?" And he's like, "Yeah, please hold my gun." And the guy is like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." And he's holding the gun. He's like, the shoes. And it's really funny. Um, so that was the most respectful thief in history. So it's really funny, and I have thought about that a lot because while I was learning about human respect, they gave me this example. They say like, what if someone exercises violence against you or theft or fraud respectfully, in a respectful manner? And I said like, I know a joke about that. Like I've seen a comedy sketch about that, and I told them that, and they cracked it. They were laughing so hard. Uh, but I use it as an example because someone can still treat you with respect in general, not human respect, but with respect, and still taking away things from you. And if you think about it for a minute, that's what government does. Government is not like just punch you around, like saying like, "Give me money." No, they send you an email and they say like, "Please don't forget to pay your taxes this year. You're contributing to society. If you will be so kind, this is the amount of money you have to give us. Otherwise, you will go to jail. Please don't make us go to your house with a bunch of policemen to drag
Oh
you out
wow, I
to
haven't
prison."
thought like this.
And they're like, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, my taxes aren't here, so I have to go to pay." And they're like, "No, no, no, we're not gonna send two big guys to your house to take away your money. You will go to your bank and you will deposit the money in this account." And you're like, you can even make an online transfer from your cell phone for your comfortable for you to be comfortable and for your convenience. And you're like, "Yes, I'm paying taxes." Ah. And they're like,
Comfortable memory.
it's the same thing. It's messing with your prosperity because they're taking away money that you will have to spend
Hmm.
in restaurants, food, groceries, getting better your house, giving jobs to many, many people instead of to a bunch of bureaucrats whose job is like sending this kind of nice emails saying like, don't forget to pay your taxes. So the difference between respect and human respect is that people
Hmm.
can still treat you respectfully with respect and still taking away your money or even being uh, like threatening you with violence, like saying
Hmm.
like I'm asking nicely because next time I'm gonna punch you in the face. It's kind of like whoa, that's sounds respectful, but at the end of the day, it's not human respect. So that's the main difference, and that's why human respect usually is not that intuitive because people say like humans respect treating humans with respect, and it's not quite that. I mean, it has a lot to do with that. It's about. I'm not saying that we're gonna help people and treat them like trash, also, but because that's also not the thing. But it's not just staying in the line of respect. Is it's going beyond that.
Yeah, that's thank you for that. Because I exactly that's what I wanted to know, because people often confuse like respect whenever we say, or like we talk about human respect or choices. People often confuse with the things that, okay, even if let's say the politicians are giving them a manifesto and they're used to live in a certain way, but to a point they feel accustomed to do the things they are not supposed to do, and they make other people like they force other people, okay, why we are paying this, we are doing this, why you are not doing this? So that's when the like coercion comes again.
Yeah. No, this discussion was pretty interesting. Just one last question that I wanted to discuss and throw to both of you, that can we actually envision of having freedom of press and media by setting human respect principles?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, a lot of events that we are planning on, that our students are planning to do on human respect, have to do with freedom of expression. Um, One of the most important things that I've uh, have to say frequently is that having a conversation is not an act of violence. Because sometimes people find that uh, saying certain things are violent, like talking about certain topics or subjects um, are not we are not supposed to talk about that. I'm against the idea that we shouldn't talk about certain things because talking about things is what have lead us to this point in civilization, like asking questions and questioning many things. I don't think even me, who I'm personally I'm a religious person, I tend to think there are no sacred things that we shouldn't talk about. I mean, we should talk about those things respectfully, being having in consideration other people's feelings. But at the end of the day, we should talk about those things first. And second, um, media is an area where there can be a lot of manipulation. Um, People with enough influence can mislead many other people, many other persons, um, to do terrible things or act in a certain way. That's why we have to be so careful. But at the end of the day, and there's a great conversation about this. Unfortunately, it is in Spanish, but I will see if I can share it to you guys with subtitles in English, um, about who decides the truth. And Antonio Escotado was one of the greatest minds in Spain. He died a couple of years ago, but he was a fantastic thinker. He wasn't quite a philosopher, but he was a people who studied and read it a lot. And he was a great mind. One of the things that he mentioned in that interview about who decides the truth, because he was talking with a journalist, that's a Spanish journalist, who was saying like, oh no, but the media manipulates people. And he says like, and are people stupid that they cannot see the difference between things? And do you think they're stupid? That they are like little children that cannot differentiate things? And she said like, well, maybe not stupid, but they don't have enough information. And then he said like, so it's their responsibility to look for more information. And when he was asked, how do we fight against lies, fake news? And he said, with the truth. That's the only peaceful way to fight against misinformation or disinformation. Like if you see disinformation going out, speak out the truth. And he was like a 80-year-old person. He lived in a time where he said like, in the past, we had a lot of misinformation and not opportunity to talk about anything else, because if you didn't have a printing press or the economic power of having a media, you're screwed. Today you have Twitter, you have social media, you can, like a 14-year-old can become an influencer by many other things. So that's an opportunity we didn't have before in history, and that's the peaceful way to do this kind of things. I haven't thought about this until I started working with human respect, but there's this great quote that they say Gandhi said, is like, I'm not sure if Gandhi ever said such thing, but probably he thought about it. Be the change you want to see in the world. That's yes, that's a great thing, because every time we want some change in the world, most people think there should be a law. And they don't think like, maybe if there are starving children in my community, instead of making a law, maybe I can go out and give them some food. Like, no many people think about such a basic thing. But that's peaceful, that's voluntary, that's persuasive, and you can some more people. I like, for example, now that I live here in Peru or in Ecuador, many years ago, I was in college, and a couple of friends of mine, they were like making a lot of food at night, making soup, and going out and giving this soup to people in the streets by themselves, like with their dads driving across the streets, with a couple of people more to take care of my friends too, because they were young girls at the time. And they said like, we're doing this, do you want to join? And I was like, I'm not going out my house at night. Like, I have other things to do. I have job and stuff. But what if I give you $5 and you buy some food? And they were like, yeah, that's it. Thank you. And they were uploading videos and stuff. They didn't give me a detail about my $5, but I trusted them. That was voluntarily me giving money to a private initiative to help these people. And the government way to do that will be like starting a program of food, like paying a lot of bureaucrats to have a list and blah, blah, blah.
First, they will take the tax.
I move away from the original question about the media, but my point is, just as these girls were doing that job, the only way to guarantee we have a trustful media, like a media we can trust, is probably be ourselves the own media. If we see some disinformation going out in the world, we have the responsibility to say like, first to say what we think and what we think is true, and we are probably mistaken. There's no way we can be right all the time. So being curious and being humble and be tolerant, it's those three things are great guides.
Mhm. I think there's already in the social phenomenon that there's a solution for that also. Like if people see something in a Facebook or any other social media, they will instinctively think about, okay, this might be a real thing. But nowadays, as more misinformation, disinformation is growing up, I think fact checker organizations are growing a lot these days because they check the facts for the people on their own voluntarily, and some of them are from funded projects also. So yeah, uh, people are already taking care of their information rights, I guess. Um, that's a interesting thing. Um, I think we are almost end of the time. Arshi.
Yeah, we are. Uh, yeah, well, nothing much to say. It was a really great conversation with you, Juan. We had so many unique insights from you and something to think about. I mean, I'm sure the audiences or our viewers will be thinking about this principle and the idea of it, and obviously, it will have a good impact uh, uh, to us as individuals or in our society. So, with that, we are going to put an end to this conversation. But before that, if you have anything you'd like to share to the audiences, any remarks, anything to our coordinators or anyone, please.
You are muted.
Sorry. Yes, thank you. Um, I would like to, if any other local coordinator at SFL is watching this, I would like them to invite them to collaborate with the Human Respect Project. We have great plans for what we want to do this year in terms of events, projects, trainings, many other things. This is a great idea, and I think there's room for a lot of people uh, within SFL wanting to work. One of the most amazing things that I've heard of students through this project is like it's comments like, "This is what I've been waiting for. This is the kind of project, the kind of thing that I've been wanting to do, but I didn't quite find the right project or the right idea to put it in practice." So I feel really glad I'm part of this because this is not my idea. I'm just like working with the great idea that Chris Ruffer had from thinking about human respect. So all credit to him, and also to Harmony and Prosperity for helping out with this project and SFL. So invite him to join the movement to promote human respect, to promote happiness, harmony, and prosperity around the world and within their communities. One of the things the first thing that they asked me when I joined SFL was like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for great events, like thousands of people in great events, conferences, and stuff like that? And what I said, and I was just transmitting what the Foundation for Harmony and Prosperity told me. If we can change the students' minds and hearts, if we can make them find solutions within their communities, as simple as contributing in their own households, contributing in their own neighborhoods, as something as little as that, that for us is a victory. That's how success look like. So yeah, that will be my message for everyone watching.
Thanks a lot for this, and it's interesting for me to like discuss about this important topic. Uh, you being on the other side of the world, and we are on the other side, and you just woke up from sleep. We are going to sleep. And this is an interesting thing. Thanks a lot, Yuan, for coming here, and it's been an honor to host you. And yeah, as like when you joined, you said if you are the first.
Definitely. Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
sorry about that. So you are basically, this is the third episode. So I think this
Great.
has been great for us also, and hopefully we'll meet you someday. And
Yeah, hopefully.
yeah,
I'm just
Yes,
happy to
yes,
have you here.
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I'm meeting so many people from Bangladesh, and now I have to go.
Please, you are most welcome in our country, and you
Please.
have places to stay here. So yeah, thanks again. Thanks for coming, and yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you,
See you
guys.
again, Juan.
see
Have a
you
good
again.
night.
Bye.
Bye bye. Have a great day.
Bye.